Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am feeling a lot of redemption today for XRP and in crypto, but not just in crypto. I feel like our country and our world has been wrapped in lies for years now, maybe decades. And I feel like a lot of those lies are unraveling because lies don't stand the test of time. And I feel like one of the bigger lies is the crypto lie that is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I feel like that lie is unraveling too. Let's start here, the XRP rich list. You know why it's important, I think, to take a look at the XRP rich list today is because I believe that a lot of what you're seeing here is going to be locked in for the most part going forward. I think that it's going to become, from here, I think it's going to become harder and harder to accumulate large amounts of XRP because I think it is on like Donkey Kong now. And I'll show you some of why I think that. But let's start off with something funny. This was put together by the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. He only believes in Troomers, and he decided to I guess he's got some deep inside sources here. He decided to put a little film together about the behind the scenes post-judgment settlement conversations that could be going on.
Brad, pay me $100 million. Gary, what do we get? XRP is not a security as a matter of law. We have leverage, Gary. Brad, you're so stubborn. Now pay me $250 million. Gary, you're so silly. Fine. But we want a no action letter from the SEC in regard to those pre-allocated option contracts. That's going to cost you $500 million, Brad. I need a win here. Brad, that's too much money. Please, no. Fine, Gary. You have a deal. $500 million and a no action letter from the SEC regarding those prior option contracts. Fine. Deal. Stuart, you got to learn how to control your client. Stuart, Gary thinks he won. Nice reverse psychology coming in there. We now have the only no action letter from the SEC. Those loyal customers who stuck by us get to activate those options. The rest who refused have to buy from exchanges. No, sir. Ooh. Devastating. Why? I should have been nicer. Clayton's gonna kill me.
I think the cool guy's got a future in doing plays, maybe. Leonidas, XRP, $22 billion volume on CoinMarketCap. This is the highest volume on CoinMarketCap since April 2021. And then the cool guy had put this up too, and I actually talked to the cool guy today. He said he watches this all the time. He said normally when you watch this, you're seeing, and this is XRP ODL across the world, or the globe. And he says normally when you watch this, you might see 4 or 5 of those lines streaking across the world, but now you're seeing what you're seeing. That's why I say, folks, it appears to be on like Donkey Kong. All right. Patrick Riley had a great, who is running for president, by the way. He had a great tweet right here. At just $11, all things being equal, at $11, XRP takes the top spot from Bitcoin. It's not an if, it's a when. Your best guess, win below. I believe that he's right. There's not anything inside of me that believes XRP would not have been the king and at the top for the last 3 or 4 years if all the shenanigans and shady antics had not happened, including an SEC lawsuit dropped by Jay Clayton, who is a Bitcoin Ethereum guy. All right, or at least that's where he works. So I said, when the king ascends the throne to its rightful place to replace the half-breed Bitcoin proof of work that does not work, that's going to happen, folks. Just strap in. I think Elon Musk knows. This is an old tweet that resurfaced today. One coin to rule them all. I always thought that all of his dog coin talk was just a ruse. Not a doubt in my mind. It was all a ruse. But when he did this graphic and put it out, he had XRP Bitcoin pair right there at the top. Notice that you don't see Doge anywhere in this list. And then he puts Bitcoin having the ring there. There's a lot of misdirection in this tweet, in my opinion. And keep in mind, what's important to note is that Elon Musk never, ever says XRP. Doesn't talk about XRP, doesn't talk about Ripple, ever. He'll talk about Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all that stuff all the time. Then he retweets this recently, says, good podcast. And it said right here, as a part of the podcast, inflation cools, market rips. Ripple / Microsoft beat regulators. Okay? Then I decided I would go. I went and found the clip that covered Ripple. It's a classic moment. You're going to like it. Check this out. Because the guy that's running this, his name's Jason something. He's always been anti-crypto. Watch the look of shock, and then when the guy corrects him, it's classic.
Because the purchasers did not have a reasonable expectation of profit tied to Ripple's effort? Okay. Those sales were blind bid-ask transactions, she said, where the buyers could not have known if their payments, I'm reading from Reuters here, of money went to Ripple or any other seller of XRP. Interesting. So the buyer becomes the person who profits from it becomes the fulcrum here. XRP sales on cryptocurrency platforms.
I mean, Jason, you're not going to figure this out in real time. This is too complicated. The bottom line is that the headline is...
Well, I just want to make sure the audience gets it, yeah.
Look, the headline is, I'm reading the tweet, Ripple sales of XRP do not constitute offer of investment contracts, according to Judge. They won. This is a huge vindication for them. And that XRP is ripping 35%.
Yeah, and it really handcuffs the SEC. What are they going to do about Coinbase and every other exchange? I mean, if they're not selling securities, I think Coinbase and everybody else has always maintained they're selling tokens. This was the fulcrum argument for the SEC, and they just lost.
The whole crypto market is ripping right now.
I said redemption at the beginning of this show. There is no greater redemption than watching Mike Novogratz have to brag about how Ripple won and Gary lost. So let's start here. He was on CNBC, and remember, this is the guy that worked at Goldman Sachs with Goldman, Gary in Hong Kong. This is the same guy that just didn't understand. He was just confused as to why XRP, why it would go up. He couldn't believe that CNBC would actually teach people how to buy it. You and I both know he was never confused, but he acted like he was confused.
Hey, Michael, I'm sure, since so many folks in crypto land were following this decision related to Ripple, I wanted to get your thoughts and comments on it and whether you think it has any demonstrable impact in terms of how the SEC and how Congress and how others think about these things.
It has to force the Democrats, the White House and Gensler to the table to start negotiating fair rules. Like it was just.
Was this a win? I mean, maybe we should explain for the audience, and maybe Michael, you probably do a better job than I can, what the decision was, because some people looked at that decision as a win for Ripple, and others said actually maybe it wasn't.
No, it was a big win for Ripple, and it was a big win for the crypto community. Like, let's not let Gary Gensler put lipstick on a pig. They lost, and they know it. And at best, the judge said, okay, now you're going to, if the SEC wants to litigate, you're going to have to litigate every token separately and every use of that token separately. And so the current status quo isn't going to work for the SEC. Listen, they could appeal. Appeals take a long time. We can stay in court for years. But I think the message that I want to give that is really clear was what Gary has been saying, that the rules are clear, just isn't true. It's not true at all. And that judge said that exactly, right? This is really complicated. We need regulation that makes things clear. And it's not that complicated.
The lies are unraveling, folks. And here, this is another great clip
Kelly
from Mike Novogratz.
Kelly Evans says she wants a 2-year at 5%. I go, I would just put it in. I'd put it in Bitcoin. I'm kidding around, but I sort of feel the same way with the BlackRocks and the Charles Schwabs of the world. But I'll tell you, you got that on one side, and big name people want these ETFs. But then you have Gensler and the SEC on the other side. Is Gensler, do you think he's just anti-crypto or anti-exchanges that sort of work unregulated? Because that's the key difference. Do you think he'd like to take Bitcoin off the table as a financial asset, or does he just want to regulate the way that it's traded?
I think if like this Ripple lawsuit taught us anything, right? Gary has been saying, come in, the rules are clear. The rules are absolutely not clear. The judge just basically said to the SEC, you're wrong. And so, Richie Torres, the congressman from the Bronx, put a beautiful letter out to the SEC, to Gensler, saying, guys, it's time to come to the table for the White House, for the SEC, for Democrats to sit down with the Republicans and give us some damn legislation so we can get on with life. I don't think Gary inherently hates Bitcoin or hates crypto. He did see an industry rife with a lot of fraud. I do think Elizabeth Warren and the progressive side.
I think Gary hates himself. The kind of personality that this guy is, only someone that hates themselves could have as much resentment for the American people and the people that they lie and say that they're supposed to protect. The only kind of person I've known in my life that can resent people that much to act like this guy has acted has to hate himself. He's got real
for reasons
problems
I can't understand, have been anti-crypto. And I think any central bank governor gets nervous about something. Larry Fink went on TV and said, this is going to be the first global currency. Well, Janet Yellen thinks, and that's her job, right, to defend the dollar as a global currency. And so there is a tension. I like to think of Bitcoin as digital gold, a store of value. And that keeps the tempers or the nerves of central bankers down a little bit. When you start talking currency, they get nervous. But there's that tension there. But I think, listen, the cat's out of the bag. Bitcoin's not going away. Like, you threw everything you could at it, and it's up 80% on the year with interest rates higher. And so the adoption cycle continues. Big ideas are almost impossible to kill, and this is a really big idea.
Hey, Mike.
And XRP is an even bigger idea.
You said that it was a lot scarier 6 months ago to really remain positive on Bitcoin. Did you sell at that point? Did you hedge things? Or did you hold on?
We held on. Listen, I'm in it so deep, I'm in it. And because of my vantage point, I see the commitment of the people that work at our firm. I see the commitment of the people in this industry. We prepared for a longer winter than we're hoping we're going to get. Listen, we're certainly not out of the woods in general in the overall industry, but it feels a whole lot better. And so, we added risk. We bought a giant mining facility in Texas, literally close to the lows. We bought GK8, a big security company out of Israel, close to the lows. And so we were deploying capital at the end of last year.
The digital asset investor has been deploying capital too. I learned from the last crypto winter, you buy when the blood is majorly in the streets, and it's been in the streets this time. I've been accumulating. Listen to this clip from Chris Larson.
Talk about the state of crypto right now. It's being supplanted by generative AI. Everyone's onto that. They've moved from crypto. But is it in spring, winter, fall, what?
Spring, yeah. I think the winter is over. But here's the thing. It's the tale of two cities. In the U.S., we have really screwed up blockchain tech and crypto policy. Everywhere else, it's booming. And so we've actually lost our leadership role. It has now moved to Singapore, London, Dubai. They're kind of the three majors that are fighting out. Japan also is a player. Brazil, everywhere basically is kind of welcoming this. And most of our people that we're hiring now are overseas. So we're still booming. We're hiring like crazy. We're just not doing anything in the U.S., even though we're headquartered in San Francisco, and we're committed to San Francisco. And that's a shame.
All right. So China is winning right now thanks to Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren. That's the kind of people we have in our government now. Just in Middle Eastern country, Kuwait passes law to ban Bitcoin payments, investments, and mining. Fed Now is live today. Let the war begin, or as Chad Steingraber says it, 0-day high. Now, Jimmy Valley, Jimmy Valley's on point these days. In the aftermath of summary judgment ordering SEC versus Ripple, digital asset investor posed a question about how the Howey test analysis in the order might apply to the Ethereum pre-sale. See, we have legal analysts everywhere on CoinDesk and everywhere else they're trying their best to talk about this in terms of a split decision for Ripple, and it's not a total win. And oh man, you can tell they're in pain just talking about it. But what they won't talk about is how this decision applies to the Ethereum ICO. Because remember, the whole Hinman speech, that doesn't count for anything anymore, folks. That's not law. If we got anything out of the Ripple case, all that was a speech. Doesn't carry the weight of any law. Okay? And so I'm not going to go through the graphic, but I do want to go partially through this thread. He gives his disclaimer, and then he says, conclusions. ETH itself is not a security, but can be the subject of an investment contract, which is a security. The economic reality of Ethereum pre-sale would appear to constitute an investment contract which was not registered pursuant to Section 5 of the Securities Act. ETH distributions to early contributors may not be securities transactions, but ETH pre-sale was an investment contract because investment of money, common enterprise, pre-sale proceeds pooled together as described in terms and conditions. C, expectations of profits on ETH Swiss and affiliates efforts. The network did not even exist. Now, the last thing Jimmy Valley says is more important than anything and should be understood. We were forced into a place where we had to expose the whole Ethereum game, the ETHgate racket, because of the way that Ripple lawsuit imploded. That does not mean that we're all wanting Ripple or Bitcoin and Ethereum to go down and all that. That is not what I want. All we ever wanted was a level playing field. And I think what Jimmy says here is very reasonable. So what should happen now? The remedies SEC seeks in Ripple case should be consistently applied to Ethereum. I think allowing a Form D filing, nominal fee for violations, and allowing both projects to move on is in the best interest of the public and the digital asset industry. And that's the way they should have treated we XRP holders, and they did not. But we are willing to turn the other cheek here. I don't want Ethereum to be destroyed. I don't even want Joseph Lubin to be destroyed. I don't want any of it to be destroyed. But I do want, in order to have a level playing field, you also have to have level treatment for good and for bad. And the way that this has happened, there's nothing good about it. And you've got to right these wrongs. So kudos to Jimmy. And now, we talked about redemption and lies and all the stuff. Well, let me show you the core lie. This is a guy talking about Chainalysis. Chainalysis is the company. You can actually buy Chainalysis private equity on the Link2 platform, who is one of my sponsors, okay? Chainalysis is a company that tracks all blockchain transactions and does a lot of that for the government. And the point is, they can track everything. If you think they don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is or who the Ethereum disguised whales are, then I've got an igloo in South Georgia that it's about 100 degrees here the last few days, but I'll sell it to you for a very expensive price if you believe they don't know who Satoshi and the disguised Ethereum whales are. Don't believe me. Listen to what he says.
At Blockchance in Germany. And so I was there, and actually one of the people that were there were called Chainalysis, and they actually have a software where they can hook it in. You get a wallet address, and they can see every single transaction you've ever did on a heat map, and kind of like a bubble map, and you can see every little thing that person sent back and forth. And it's anonymous to an extent because it's just a wallet address. But once you can identify the wallet address, obviously you can identify the person.
Yes.
Because that wallet address, in many cases, will connect to something called a hot wallet, which is an exchange. And so there goes your decentralization.
There you have it, folks. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that the bad smell that was in my son's bedroom, we found it. And what it was is a rat had walked into one of the mouse traps in the attic, and that smell had eventually made its way down on into the vent somehow. And boy, did it smell like death, because there was death. I don't know if he crapped himself, which I thought he had done before he died. It smelled so bad, but that's what it was. We will be able to sleep without smelling nastiness tonight. Thanks for listening.